Today, we're going to dig into a really fascinating and, I have to say, pretty urgent investment brief. It connects a massive extinction event from our planet's deep past to what it calls a highly leveraged opportunity, right here, right now. So let's jump in.
So the entire argument starts with this incredibly powerful question. What if history isn't just something you read about in a book, but it's actually a blueprint, a warning from the past that's also a financial forecast for anyone who's paying attention? It's a wild idea, right? Let's see how they build the case.
Okay, so to really get the opportunity here, we first have to understand the threat. And to do that, we need to go way, way back to what some scientists literally call the darkest chapter in our planet's history. That dark chapter was the end Permian extinction. You might know it as the Great Dying. And when these researchers were out there scouring ancient rocks, they weren't just doing geology. No, they were uncovering a pattern, a terrifying sequence of events that started with a massive environmental shift.
Okay, so how did this all go down? It was like a planetary domino effect. First, you get these insane volcanic eruptions that pumps the atmosphere full of CO2, which then triggers this huge spike in global temperatures. And that created the perfect storm for toxic microbial blooms to just completely choke the planet's freshwater systems, basically turning what should have been safe havens into death traps. You gotta remember that sequence. It is absolutely crucial for understanding what's happening today.
So let's fast forward to the present day. How does that ancient history build into a modern investment argument? Well, this document argues we're seeing an echo of that exact pattern right now, but that we've been, kind of focused on the wrong thing.
And here it is. This is the core thesis right here. The argument is that CO2, back then and right now, was just the trigger. It wasn't the final killer blow. The real damage came from all the knock-on effects, and a huge one was methane. So this document basically says, hey, while the whole world's been focused on the trigger, CO2, the methane bullet has already been fired.
And if you need proof, just look at this graph. Look at that curve. After a little lull, atmospheric methane has been shooting up like a rocket since 2007. The trend is it's undeniable. This is the bullet they're talking about, and it's picking up speed.
So the next logical question is, where's all this methane coming from? And this chart just lays it out perfectly. A staggering 50% of global methane emissions come from aquatic sources. That's huge. Just like in the Permian extinction, our waterways are becoming a massive part of the problem. And, according to this investment brief, that's exactly where the opportunity is.
So, this brings us to the company that's at the absolute heart of this investment thesis. It's called Floating Island International, or FII, and they have a very specific technology to tackle this problem head-on.
The technology is called RAM, which stands for Reduction of Aquatic Methane. And what is it?
On one hand, you've got these reactive, expensive chemical treatments that actually harm the ecosystem, but on the other, you have a solution that's based on biomimicry. It literally copies nature's own processes to restore the ecosystem, prevent methane from ever forming, and keep operational costs way, way down. It's a total shift in thinking.
And the RAM system is totally scalable to fit your project's needs. We have RAM 1, which is designed for those shallower bodies of water. Think wastewater ponds or urban basins. And then for the bigger projects, the deep lakes and reservoirs, there's RAM 2. But both are engineered for the exact same key function, targeted oxygenation right at the bottom layer, right where all the problems begin. It's a pretty elegant solution, really.
So for an investor, what's the bottom line? The pitch is that this opportunity is uniquely powerful. First, it's highly leveraged, meaning a small investment could have a massive, outsized impact. Second, it's a small, private company, so you're not just a drop in the ocean. You can make a direct strategic investment. And finally, the timing is presented as absolutely critical, a unique window to get in.
Okay, the final section of this brief doesn't pull any punches. It's a direct, unfiltered call to action for any investor who's been listening and thinking, this is interesting. This is the question they pose to just completely reframe the whole idea of risk and reward. It basically says, forget your spreadsheets for a second. Traditional ROI calculations don't mean a thing if the whole system collapses. The implication is that a smart investment right now offers a return that's way more valuable than just money.
And the sense of urgency is it's everywhere in the document. They really stress that this is not some timeless opportunity, it's a specific window, a unique moment where the right action can have the maximum possible effect before things get really out of hand.
And then they boil it all down into language that any investor gets. It's short, it's punchy, and it's a direct appeal to be decisive and to act fast.
The brief even lays out a super clear path forward. Go do your homework on the tech. Understand the bigger picture, with AI and politics. And then, most directly, it invites interested folks to just contact the founder, Bruce Kanya, who they say is open to talking with smart investors.
And that's how it ends. No ambiguity at all. The claim is incredibly bold, the language is as direct as it gets, and the call to action is immediate. It frames this whole thing not just as another option, but as a critical, time-sensitive opportunity, one that's rooted in our planet's deepest history, but with huge implications for our immediate future. So the real question is, what do you do with that information?